Well, Richard, last July you wrote on your blog that you've been diagnosed with Parkinson's. It was overwhelming to see the fan and professional support from your posts. How did you decide to tell the fans, and how are you doing now?
Well, I announced it was like I'd been having all these weird symptoms for a while, and I just hadn't seen a doctor. I finally went to a family friend, and she said, she went out to dinner with her, and she said, it's Parkinson's. She said, just give me 3 simple tests, pretty much, and it's something that can be difficult to diagnose, but it's pretty obvious. Yeah. And it was just a couple of weeks before I was going to the San Diego Comic-Con, which is like this huge deal with hundreds of thousands of people. I thought, this is going to be pretty public, so I better, I told my syndicate first, I said, this is what I got, and it's what I got to deal with. And they said, uh-oh, what do you need? We'll help you deal with it. And I thought, well, I better just tell everybody because it's pretty obvious. So I said, I put it up on the blog and said, this is the deal. So, and it's been a pain in the ass, but at the same time, it has not affected my drawing hand pretty much at all. And it's treatable, and the symptoms can be dealt with one at a time, up to a certain level. And it's something that just always it's progressive, but everything's got a different rate of progression. And you just realize that you got to deal with it. So certain things I can't do like I used to, and certain things I won't be able to do. But it's drawing has not really affected it. And as soon as I heard it, I started laughing. For all the wrong reasons. Just inappropriate laughter is like the best medicine.
Well, I liked part on your blog that you asked for Parkinson jokes, and it was like so funny. I was like, I was like, is he kidding? Should I really submit jokes?
I got all these filthy jokes. I got one guy saying, "You should really write a family strip about the Parkinsons." Is it too early? That made me laugh good and hard. So.
Well, see, we have a sequel coming.
It's one of those things that there are all these, new things are being discovered all the time about it. But it's a growing field, and so it's. I feel like if you're going to have a progressive disease, it's there are worse things to choose. So
That's very true. Well, I hope you get along great, and
so far so good.
So far so good. Keep drawing. That's all. That's all we need.
If I
keep
was
drawing.
left-handed, I'd be screwed. But
That's right. That's right. Well, at least it'd be more interesting art, at least. So you can't think of it that way. Now that the strip is over 2 years old, are you happy with this strip's progression? And will we see any new characters in the future?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I go back and look at it and think, the things I should have done. I should have. You can 20/20 hindsight is always so clear that. But at the same time, you sort of let it fly off on a tangent, and it becomes more interesting. I never know. I'm only a few weeks ahead of the dailies, and maybe a month or so on the Sundays, which is just skin of my teeth, because some people are months and months ahead. Stefan Pastis, who famously draws Pearls Before Swan, he's like a year, half a year. 6, 7, 8 months ahead, but he started out with like a year's lead time to begin with. He had like that much in the bank when he started, so everybody hates him for it. But he's it gives him the luxury of thinking that far, and he can be very analytical in his thinking about it, which helps him a lot because I think he thinks like that. But I don't. I'm last minute intuitive kind of. I let it come to me, and it's like like I said, the terror of the deadline. But having said that, it's I like where it's gone. It's gone in some ways I didn't expect, which makes it more interesting. Cause I like flying off on a tangent and like seeing where it'll go off. It's like if I start a story, I go in a little story arc sometime like a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe at the most. I think the longest one was like 3 weeks off and on for when PD had that oboe recital, which was I didn't really know where that was going to end up, and I like it better not quite knowing because it's I find that I can surprise myself. I was always terrified of a daily strip. I avoided it for years, thinking I'll run out of ideas just like that. It's gonna go. It'll be a dry hole, it'll be an empty well within a month. That's the limit. And I found that's not really true. And I think everybody I know who draws a strip is like that. That they realize that it's like it comes to you. You let there are bumpy spells where you're kind of scraping sand, and you're thinking, oh God, but it does bubble up at a certain point. Something snaps where a character wanders into your mind, and like your other part of the question, there are other characters. I think things need to expand in some ways. Like PD needed a milieu, needed a more. His school life is not. His school life is mostly walking to and from school. It's never been into school. I think I've shown him sitting at a school desk once briefly, and it's like there's that to explore, and there's his whole, like his comics. He's a fan of this comic strip I made up years ago called A Little Nero in Slumberland, which is just this inert little character who sits in bed worrying, can't go to sleep. He's like, completely flipping Little Nemo in Slumberland on its head. Yeah. And it's like, this poor little guy is just like his eye bugged out all night. I think, there's all kinds of things to play with that. Or with PD's, PD has an imagination that he's never really quite delved into. At the same time, there's the danger of falling into Calvin and Hobbes land, where you don't want to. Calvin's imagination pretty much was a character. Yeah. I don't want to tread onto that because it was so, it's covered so well, and there's certain things you want to avoid that have been done well before, but at the same time, it's like it's just a wide open world out there. It's like you find your set of rules that. You bump into them and you think, I should do this, but I shouldn't do this. I find I do best when I focus very narrowly on something. Like, I think this week I've drawn for this week's, Dale goes to the supply closet. I think, what a dull subject, a supply closet's full of, like reams of paper and like cotton balls and, bottles of glue and stuff. And I think,
but not with
Dale. To a child, to a 4-year-old, it's like brand new territory.
Sure.
And it was years ago I found when I was doing the Richard's Poor Almanac, I did a string of them where I had these like toddler round tables where I had these little kids talking about things, and it's like any odd subject. I found it was very easy to write for a 4-year-old, which is kind of frightening to think of when you're 50. It's like, it's starting already, the decay.
That's right.
I'm reverting, help me.
So the kids are going to get younger as you get older.
Yeah. It's going to end as a zygote.
That's right. Well, Richard, I really appreciate you doing this interview, and good luck and continued success with all your endeavors.
Thanks. Sir.
And thank you for letting me interview you. This has been great, and it will help the fans get to know you a little bit better and Cul de Sac better. And I hope we can do this again in the near future.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Sir.
Yep. Thanks.